I woke up at midnight to find my husband out of bed. I called his number, but there was no answer. I searched everywhere and realized he wasn't around. The young nanny had disappeared as well. I barely reached the garage when I heard muffled wanton noises inside. I stormed over, trying to catch the infidel pair in the act. When I opened the door, my husband was standing there with a surgical kit. He was about to head out in his car. He explained, "Honey, I need to catch a flight to Silverport. A patient there needs immediate surgery. You should go to bed without me." I sighed in relief, feeling ridiculous to have doubted him. Suddenly, a few comments rolled before my eyes. That was so close. They almost got caught. Luckily, Ava had cleverly hidden in the trunk. That bitch will find nothing once Ethan drives away. My heart is swelling just from watching them. A stoic, genius doctor and a cheery, adorable nanny are a perfect match. Tanya stands no chance against Ava. I glanced at the shut trunk and slid into the driver's seat with a smile, offering, "Honey, why don't I give you a ride to the airport?" I blinked at the rolling comments before focusing my sights on the calm Ethan. Then, I realized I wasn't seeing things. I turned back to Ethan. "Honey, why didn't you tell me you're heading out?" He let out a chuckle and gently explained, "I don't want to wake you, so I left without saying anything." I walked over and opened the car's door. "Good timing. Since I'm awake now, I'll send you to the airport." My offer caught him off guard. When he came to his senses, he stretched an arm out to block me. "I can drive there myself. I hate the idea of you driving home alone at night. You should go to sleep really. I promise I'll be back with your favorite cake tomorrow night." My smile widened. "I can't sleep anymore. Besides, it's only a 2-hour trip. I can catch up on sleep later." "Honey." He abruptly held my hands. "I don't want you to get tired from the drive. There's no one home to take care of you." I nonchalantly reminded him. "We have a nanny at home, remember? I wonder where she's gone. Let me give her a call." I fished out my phone and called Ava's number. I heard a ring coming from the trunk, but it was cut off as soon as I heard it. It was barely audible. I would have missed it if I hadn't paid attention to the trunk. The comments materialized before my eyes again. Tanya nearly discovered them. It's a good thing Ava muted her phone in time. That's my smart girl. All Tanya has is a rich family. She can never hope to beat Ava. I tilted my head in confusion and stared at the trunk pointedly. "Honey, did I mishear it? I think I heard Ava's phone ringing in the trunk." Panic flashed across Ethan's face as he blurted, "Yeah. You must have misheard it. I don't hear anything at all." I hummed thoughtfully before saying, "She didn't answer my call. Maybe I should try again." He bit his lip before stopping me. "She might be asleep at this hour. Let's not wake her. We should head out to the airport now, or I'll miss the flight." The comments gloated over his dilemma. I can't with Ethan. He had to swallow his pride and let Tanya send him to the airport just to prevent Ava from being discovered. What did Ava even do wrong? All she did was wear a revealing outfit to set the mood when making out with Ethan in the car. But now, she can only hide in the trunk. I glanced at the trunk again, an idea forming in my mind. If what the comments said was true, I definitely wouldn't be going anywhere tonight. I wanted to know just how long she could stay hidden from me. I opened the car door and slipped into the driver's seat while Ethan remained standing out there with a frown. "I'll drive, honey." I fastened the seatbelt and said, "I insist. You can't possibly think about performing a surgery after a flight. You'll be exhausted." He nodded, no longer protesting, and took the passenger's seat with his surgical kit. I hit the gas and steered the wheel. Before the car drove out of the garage, I deliberately turned the steering wheel, hitting the pillar with the trunk and drawing a grunt from the trunk. Blood drained from Ethan's face. He got out of the car before it was pulled to a stop. I casually left the car and trailed behind him. There was a dent in the rear. Ethan growled, "Look what you've done." I protested innocently. "It's just a minor dent. Why are you so worried about it? I'll get it repaired tomorrow." He was still upset. "It's not about that. Did you see the dent? Can't you be more careful in the first place?" A shadow darkened my expression. "Are you for real? The first thing you cared about after getting out of the car wasn't my well-being, but the car's condition? Are you suggesting that you've hidden something in there that's worth more than me?" He choked on his words and struggled to excuse himself. "Honey, I didn't mean to snap at you. I'm sorry I lost my temper." I steeled my expression. "If you're so worried, you can just open the trunk and check on its condition." He changed his attitude when I moved to open it. "It's fine. It's dented anyway. Let's not waste any time. We should hurry." The comments flooded my vision. Say, does Tanya know that something is up? Why do I get the feeling that she did it on purpose? No way. A wicked and petty woman like her would have caused a scene if she discovered their infidelity. So what if she knows? She's the homewrecker in this situation. If she hadn't forced Ethan to marry her to repay his debt, Ethan and Ava wouldn't have broken up in the first place. The revelation stunned me. My parents were Ethan's benefactors as he was an orphan. That was why he worked at my family's hospital after he graduated from university. He was the one who pursued me, not the other way around. At the beginning, I turned him down because my parents and I had agreed that my spouse had to take my surname. When he learned about our decision, he went to my parents and begged for their approval. He declared his love for me and expressed his willingness to take my surname. My parents were moved by his determination. They also knew I had feelings for him, so they granted his wish. Honey, what do you think about Ava? I gauged his reaction. He shot me a wary look upon hearing my question. Why do you ask? My expression betrayed nothing as I answered. I caught her slacking off a few times. I'm considering firing her and finding a new nanny. He exhaled in relief and casually said, I'm the breadwinner, while you're the homemaker. You can decide what to do with our home. The comments were filled with laughter. I bet you that Ethan would lose it if Tanya fires Ava. Oh, absolutely. I bet he's cursing her out in his mind right now. Ethan and Ava always have a tryst in the next room after Tanya falls asleep. If she fires Ava, it's going to be so much harder for Ethan and Ava to meet up. Remember the time Tanya left for a business trip? Ava wore Tanya's lingerie and seduced Ethan. He was so aroused. He called her a vixen, and she replied that he liked that side of her. I felt nauseous seeing the comments share their excitement about the pair's secret affair. If thrill was what they were after, then I would gladly grant these adrenaline junkies their wishes. I stepped on the accelerator, and the car sped out. It startled Ethan, who was observing the trunk through the rearview mirror. He instinctively clutched his seatbelt. Honey, slow down. You're going too fast. I answered calmly. We're running late. We need to rush to catch the flight. Then I stomped my foot on the accelerator. There was a speed bump ahead, so I finally slowed the car down. Still, he lurched in his seat. He tightened his grip on the grab handle. A wave of unease went through his face, and I could tell that he was green at the gills. If this were how he was feeling, I could already imagine how badly the one hiding in the trunk was suffering. The thuds sounded from the trunk were a symphony to my ears. I glanced at the pallid man who was trying his best to keep his eyes on the road. Then an idea occurred to me as I asked, Honey, did you hear something? I think a mouse has snuck into the trunk. As soon as my words left me, the noise in the trunk immediately stopped. Ethan was looking anywhere but at me. He forced a chuckle and tried to gaslight me. Is that so? I only hear the engine roar. You must have misheard. I frowned deeper. No, I didn't. Something's inside our trunk. I'll park over there to check it out. When he saw that I really was going to pull the car to a stop, he couldn't hide the look of panic on his face. Honey, I'll miss the flight if we stop now. How about you drop me at the airport first and send the car for repair later? I only said those things to light a fire under his ass. Since he decided to play the denial game, I might as well play along. Fine. Sit tight. I'm speeding up. His only response was to blanch and clutch the grab handle tighter. The comments were outraged. Poor Ethan. Poor Ava. She's bruising everywhere. Tanya really is a wicked woman. There's no need to get upset. Once Tanya's money goes to Ethan, he'll make her pay for what she did. I can't wait for Ethan to divorce her and throw Ava a grand wedding. I arched my brow, barely hiding a sneer. What a greedy little man. He wants to take my wealth by using me as a stepping stone? Well, pigs will fly before that will ever happen. There was a crossroad ahead, and I didn't hesitate to gun down that winding road. Ethan frowned at my choice. Honey, it's difficult to navigate the road. Why don't you switch routes? I brushed him off. It's a faster route. The car swayed on the winding road. He kept bumping against the window. Heavy thuds kept coming from the trunk. Let me take over the wheel. Ethan forced through gritted teeth, his hand still holding the handle. I shook my head. It's impossible to stop on the highway. Don't worry. We're arriving at the airport soon. Before he could protest, I added, Stop distracting me with your voice. What if we get into an accident? He immediately straightened his posture and smiled bitterly. Thanks, honey. Slow down. There's no need to rush. Your safety is my top priority. I nodded in perfunctory fashion, but my foot remained pressing on the pedal. Ethan was as white as a ghost, but he kept observing the trunk through the rearview mirror from time to time. He was clearly worried about the person inside there. I sneered. It seemed like he still didn't understand the gravity of his current situation. Since that was the case, it was time to bring out the big guns. I slammed on the brakes, causing the speeding car to skid to a stop with a painful screech. It caught Ethan off guard, causing his head to bump onto the roof of the car. I deprived him of the chance to berate me by hitting the accelerator and sending the car sliding across the road. I switched between speeding up and slowing down the car. I could see from my peripheral view that Ethan could no longer control the emotions skittering across his face. Finally, he started to retch as he shakily volunteered. Honey, let me drive. I insist. Once again, I turned him down. We're almost there. You should take a nap. I'll wake you up when we arrive. He froze at my words. His eyes widened at my refusal as he stared at me unblinkingly. The comments were discussing my motives. I think Tanya is tormenting Ethan on purpose. Is anyone else thinking the same too? No way. That lovesick fool is deeply in love with Ethan. She would never make him suffer if she could help it. Just as the comments suspected, Ethan voiced their thoughts. Honey, are you doing this on purpose? When I saw the skeptical look on his face, I played up the dumb bimbo routine. What do you mean? What are you accusing me of? He kept his gaze on me. You're a skilled driver, but you're driving rather recklessly tonight. My fingers tightened around the steering wheel as I answered plaintively. It's dark out. Besides, there's heavy fog. I can't see clearly. I changed the topic by asking. Also, why are you asking me that? Are you doubting me for something I didn't do? Are you perhaps crying wolf? Are you cheating on me? He involuntarily loosened his tie in a fit of panic. I knew him well enough to know that he only did it when he was uncomfortable. And he only ever did it when he was lying. There's no such thing. I'll never betray you. You know very well you're the only one for me. He met my gaze affectionately, his smile as gentle as ever. I would have believed him if it weren't for the fact that I was aware that Ava was in the trunk. I lowered my lashes to hide the disdain in my eyes, but I replied softly, yeah, I believe you. However, I didn't stop driving the car recklessly. If anything, I made it much, much worse. Now he had to clutch the seatbelt and the grab handle at once to steady himself. I was overjoyed to hear the noise in the trunk getting louder. Thanks to the comments, I learned that Ava was suffering. There were a few times she was on the brink of passing out in the trunk. It caused an uproar in the comments. Some were concerned about her well-being, while the others were berating me for my actions. Did anyone notice that? Tanya keeps shifting her gaze upward. I don't like this, but could she have discovered us? You're clearly seeing things. There's no way she can see us. I smiled at the comment sliding past my sight, and mouthed a sentence. I see you. It frightened them. Damn it. She just admitted it. No wonder she's torturing Ethan and Ava. It turns out she has discovered their affair. Adultery is unforgivable, so they have it coming. Good job, Tanya. You need to teach them a lesson. Those words caught me off guard. I thought the audience all sided with them, but the last comment proved me wrong. At the same moment, a few new comments appeared. How are you going to get back at them, Tanya? You're arriving at the airport any minute now. Yeah, you should keep driving to the airport and open the trunk in public. Let everyone see the homewrecker's face. Don't forget about Ethan. You should make them both suffer. The comments that expressed indignation on my behalf put a smile on my face. My smile widened when I found that Ethan was struggling to hold back nausea. I slammed on the accelerator, but my voice sounded nervous. Honey, the brake isn't working. He worriedly reached his body over to grab the wheel. Remove your foot from the pedal. We need to stop the car. It's not stopping. I steered the wheel to turn the car, making it crash into the guardrail. The momentum of the car caused it to skid right into the river. I opened the door to find Ethan swimming toward the trunk. I approached him and grabbed his arm. Honey, I'm cramping up. He glanced at me and then at the sinking car. I pretended not to see his panicked expression and dragged him down with me. Whenever he tried to swim up, I would drag him down further and further. After this back and forth, both of us became exhausted and were now choking on water. The comments flooded my vision. Oh my God. The trunk is locked. Ava can't open it from inside. Someone save Ava. She's about to pass out due to low oxygen. She'll die if nobody saves her. Good. She deserves it for being a homewrecker. A team of police was posted at the highway exit. They came to our rescue when they saw our car plunging into the river. After both of us were saved, the remaining police officers swam back ashore. An officer who trailed behind's gaze darted to the sinking car. He stared at us with a frown, asking, I heard someone calling for help in the trunk. Is there a third person in the car? The air outside the river was 45 degrees, but to my skin, it felt like dry ice. I sat on the grassy bank of the embankment, wrapped in a coarse yellow wool blanket the highway patrol had pulled from their trunk. My dark hair was plastered to my neck, dripping small, dirty drops of river silt onto the collar of my sweater. Beside me, Ethan was on his knees, his hands clawing at the gravel as he coughed up a mixture of river water and bile, his chest heaving under his wet linen shirt. A third person? The officer's question hovered in the freezing morning mist like a physical weight. Ethan's breathing stopped completely. He slowly lifted his head, his face turning a sickly, paper gray color under the glare of the police flashlights. He looked at the officer, then at the dark, bubbling surface of the river where our black sedan was slowly settling into the mud, only the rear bumper still visible. No, Ethan stammered, his voice losing all its professional, detached authority, cracking with a raw, dry rattle. No, officer. It must have been the luggage. I have some large, heavy orthopedic cases in the trunk. The medical instruments. They must have shifted when the car went over the rail. The officer's brow furrowed. He was a veteran sergeant, his eyes sharp and analytical behind his wet visor. Orthopedic cases don't scream. Ethan, please let me out, sir, the sergeant said, his voice flat as cement. He turned to his partner, who was already pulling a heavy iron crowbar from the back of the utility truck. Get the winch. Hook onto the rear axle. Pull it up 5 feet. I want that trunk open. No, wait. Ethan shrieked, half rising from the gravel, his hands reaching out to grab the sergeant's sleeve. The water pressure. If you open it while the car is submerged, the interior seals will ruin the surgical instruments. They're worth over $80,000. I watched his panic. It was a beautiful, raw thing. The face of a genius doctor, realizing his carefully crafted cage had just become his mistress's coffin. The comments floated across my vision, glowing with a sharp, white-hot intensity. In the dark of the riverbank. Oh my God. He's trying to save her by talking about the cost of the instruments. But look at the sergeant's face. He's not buying it. Ava's heart rate is down to 40. The low oxygen in the trunk is turning her fingers purple. If they don't pry it open in 2 minutes, she's dead. I'll pay for the instruments, officer, I said, my voice trembling with a perfect, fragile sob as I pulled the yellow blanket tighter around my shoulders. Please, just open it. What if there really is someone inside? What if a stray cat or someone snuck in while we were packing? Ethan turned his head to look at me, his eyes wide, wild with a sudden, suffocating hatred. But under the watchful eyes of the 4 police officers, he didn't dare say a word. He could only sit on the wet gravel, his hands shaking so violently his fingernails dug into his own palms. Clang, clang. The heavy iron crowbar slammed into the lock of the trunk, the sound echoing down the empty highway. The trunk did not open with a gentle click. The lock gave way with a sharp, metallic shriek of tearing aluminum, followed by a sudden, heavy rush of dark river water and oil. Here. She's here. The younger officer yelled, reaching his gloved hands into the dark interior of the trunk. With a heavy, wet grunt, he pulled Ava out. She was soaking wet, her dark hair tangled across her face, her skin a ghostly, translucent blue under the white glare of the searchlights. She wasn't wearing her neat, conservative nanny uniform. She was wearing my favorite black silk lingerie, the one I had imported from France last winter, the one I had spent 3 weeks looking for before she claimed she had lost it in the laundry. The silence on the riverbank was absolute. The 3 police officers looked from Ava's blue-tinged skin to the black lace of her outfit, and then to Ethan's wet, pale face. Mr. Sterling, Sergeant Miller said, his voice dropping into a register that made the loose paper napkins in his clipboard shake. Do you usually transport your domestic staff in the trunk of your car while they are wearing your wife's undergarments? No. Ethan's jaw moved, but no words came out. He looked at me, his eyes wide with a raw, biological terror. Ava? I gasped, my hand flying to my mouth as I took a clumsy step forward, my eyes filling with instant wet tears of shock and grief. My God. Ava, what were you doing in there? Why are you wearing my... I collapsed back onto the gravel, my body shaking with a violent, rhythmic sobbing. She's having a breakdown, Sergeant Miller said, placing a firm, gentle hand on my shoulder to hold me down. Get her into the ambulance. And Mr. Sterling? Do not move. You are under arrest for unlawful imprisonment of a minor, reckless endangerment, and commercial fraud. As they led Ethan toward the police cruiser, his hands cuffed behind his back, he didn't look at Ava, who was currently being treated with an oxygen mask by the paramedics on the gurney. He looked at me. He saw the cold, clean space in my eyes behind my tears. He realized in that final, silent second before the cruiser door clicked shut, that the car crash hadn't been an accident. The recovery room of the Municipal General Hospital was quietest at 4 a.m. The only sound was the low, electric hum of the heating blanket wrapped around my shoulders and the clinical tick of the saline drip in my left hand. Father Marcus, who was the chairman of the hospital's board of directors, sat in the leather chair beside my bed, his face calm, serious, and entirely unyielding. The lawyers finalized the division of assets this morning, Tanya, he said, handing me a clean, blue-backed folder. Since he took your surname and his medical license was funded by our family's research trust, the board has voted to terminate his contract. His residency is over. And his license? I asked, my voice carrying the flat, level rhythm of a dry laboratory report. The state medical board has initiated an ethical inquiry based on the police report, my father said. He'll be facing a lifetime ban from professional surgery. He'll never be allowed to hold a scalpel in this country again. My phone, sitting on the wood beside my tea, vibrated once. It was a text from an unknown number. It was Ava. Tanya, please. I was stupid. I didn't want to hurt you. He was the one who bought the lingerie. He was the one who told me you were too boring, too conservative. If you don't withdraw the charges, the district attorney is going to prosecute me as an accessory to fraud. I have no money, Tanya. My grandmother is sick. I stared at the screen, a faint, self-deprecating smile touching my lips. The cheery, adorable nanny had finally run out of plays. I opened the chat window, clicked delete, and then did something I should have done 3 years ago. I blocked her. 6 months later, the corporate office of the Sterling Group on the 62nd floor was warm, smelling of fresh white pine and the quiet, high-tech hum of the new EV terminals. I stood by the window, my fingers slowly tracing the edge of my coffee mug, the one I had bought from the local diner, which I now insisted on using every day. Tanya, my assistant, a young woman named Clara, said, knocking on the glass door. The legal team has completed the foreclosure on the hillside property. The defendant, Ethan Sterling, has 30 days to clear his personal belongings from the mansion. I know, I said. The bank has already notified me. He called Tanya, Clara said, her voice dropping. He's living in a cheap rental room near the old harbor. He asked if we could buy him some groceries, but I told him to go ask Ava for the money. And Ava? I asked. She's currently serving her 2nd year of a 5-year sentence in a state penitentiary, Clara said, for corporate fraud and accessory to unlawful imprisonment. They didn't have the $60,000 to pay her legal fees, so her mother had to sell her house. I looked at the water. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets wet and reflecting the golden light of the afternoon sun. I took a deep, clean breath, and for the first time in 3 years, I realized my chest felt completely light, completely quiet, and finally, beautifully free. We did well, Clara, I said. No, Tanya, she said, her touch warm and solid as she patted my shoulder. We did perfect. Now let's go. The new board meeting is about to start. I smiled, my folder held tight against my chest, and walked into the bright, clean light of the hallway, leaving the genius doctor and his little vixen to rot in the cold.